Because it's just an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to sow into the kingdom. It's an opportunity for God to reward our faithfulness. And it's an opportunity to bless men tonight. As you know, tonight, Pastor Ray and Sue are not here. We have an awesome opportunity to have Mr. Jonnathan come and minister to us tonight. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Thanks.
I'm just ready. If you got your Bibles, hold me. I've been in Jeremiah, I've been in Joshua, and apparently tonight we're going to be in the book of Joel real quick. I want to show you something. Look at Joel chapter 2. A lot of people talk about Joel chapter 2, pointing out how the Holy Spirit is true. But right before that, God does something really awesome. So there's been a lot of destruction, there's been a lot of chastening on God's people, but in Joel chapter 2, starting in verse 18 and 19, I'm going to jump ahead, it says, "The Lord will be zealous for his land and pity his people." It says, "The Lord will answer and say to his people, Behold, I will send you rain. Behold, I will send you new wine and oil, and you will be satisfied by them. I will no longer make you a reproach to all nations." Since November, this whole November to February is this whole transition period that we're kind of going through. And I feel like this is a time of transition, not only in the nation, though I've been in transition in my life, but in the nation, I feel this is what's going on. I feel there's a transition period for God's people. And check this out. In verse 21, and this is really awesome. It says, "Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for the Lord has done marvelous things. Do not be afraid, you beasts of the field, for the open pastures are springing up." Did you hear that? The open pastures are springing up, and the tree bears its fruit. The fig tree and the vine tree, their strength. Be glad and rejoice in the Lord. He is giving you the former rain faithfully, and he will cause the rain to come down for you. The former rain and the latter rain. Verse 1. God wants to bless us. We're in this time of transition. We've been going through things. Sometimes it's been hard for some of you. It's been hard for me. But God wants to bless us. And he's taking us through this, and he's bringing us to a new place. Our faithfulness with our tithes, our offerings, even in the hard times, even in the difficult times, that's what God is looking for. God is looking at our hearts in these situations. What are we going to do when we're not having rain? What are we going to do when the famine comes? Where's our heart at? Because he says, I'm going to bring it. But where's our heart at? So he wants to do it, though. He wants to bless it. And it's coming. I honestly believe, like I said, this is the time of transition. And God is getting ready to do all these things. Amen. With your tithes and offerings tonight, if you're making out a check, you can make it out to FRM, Florida Rivers Ministries. If you want to give by card, you can go ahead and see me in the back. On your envelope tonight, if you'll write whether it's your tithe or offering down at the bottom, we appreciate that as well. Father, we just thank you tonight. We thank you for your gifts. We thank you for your presence in this place, Father. We thank you for your word, your promises that we can stand on, that we can live by, Father. That you are a man that will not lie, Father. And you will make your word come to pass in our lives. Father, we just thank you. Prepare our hearts and our minds tonight, Father. Let us be open. Let them be good soil, that the word spoken tonight will go down deep and bear much fruit in Jesus' name. Amen. 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 Y'all welcome Jonnathan tonight. Praise the Lord.
Good evening. It's been a while since I shared anywhere, so it's going to be a fun night. I want to start off with a scripture because we're in church. 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at things people look at. People look at the outward appearance. The Lord looks at the heart." That was 1 Samuel 16:7. All right. We are streaming live tonight. We're on Ustream. We're also on Facebook Live on the church's website, Facebook page. Have you all seen Fixer Upper or Flea Market Flip? Y'all like those shows? It's interesting how those shows of like redemption of even objects really grab our attention. It's so interesting seeing how a piece of junk, like in the flea market flip, can be flipped into a treasure in the right hands, into someone that has the right skills, the right craft, and the right vision. Similarly, Fixer Upper, there's this couple that goes out and they pick the most rundown homes in the neighborhood and things that are laid out awkwardly, but through the vision of the talent that God has given them and the abilities and their skills, they're able to change these homes into these dwelling places that are what dreams are made of. My wife, Olivia, a lot of you don't know, she flips furniture. What started off as a hobby has become a money-making machine for us. It's great. Extra money, I'm never complaining. I remember when she first started, her mother said, "Hey, why don't you start painting these furniture, this type of furniture?" She resisted for a few years, 2 years probably, and I didn't even think there was any interest in it. So one day she started picking up pieces of furniture, some of which are $10, $20 pieces of furniture, $30 pieces of furniture, $100 pieces of furniture, all of which look like junk to me. I remember coming home, there was a garage full of junk, and she said, "Look, Jonnathan, this is mid-century modern, a whole set." And I went, "It's junk. It's the wood is warped, all these things. As it's dirty." And she said, "I see it, and I can make something of it." And about a month later, she finishes this piece. She didn't work on it for a month, but she finally got to it, cleaned it, bleached it, sanded it, painted it, put it up for sale. She bought this set for about $120, $125, and sold it for I think $450. You know what? Unbelievable. When I saw that, I went, you made about 3 times the profit of what you put in. Next piece, I think she bought it for $30, sold it for $300. And I went, I'm going to help you look for furniture. In fact, this last week, we packed my garage full of some nice French provincial pieces. Those of y'all who don't know what that is, I didn't either. But apparently it's hot. French provincial, and mid-century modern pieces are hot right now, especially when they're repainted. Now, if I were to create a show, I would create a show called Damaged Goods. Not for furniture, but damaged goods for food. Because growing up, I grew up extremely poor. My dad had a really bad gambling habit. Because of his gambling habit, we lived off of food stamps. We lived paycheck to paycheck. There were some months that we ran out of money on food stamps. And when you're poor, you make do with what you have. And I remember growing up, my mother would take us grocery shopping, and she'll walk up and down the aisle looking for the damaged goods section. You know, the ones where the cans are dented, the bags are already pre-opened, boxes are open. Even in the meat section, she'll go back and talk to the butcher and say, "Hey, do you have anything on Manager Special? Or anything that just went off Manager Special?" Manager Special, a day or two from getting bad. Right off of Manager Special, that's it. It's on the brink of being bad. And, it sounds gross, but my mom would go into these grocery stores and walk into the produce section and say, "What do you have in the back that you just pulled off the shelves?" Things that were wilted, things that were brown, fruits and vegetables. And each time she would walk out with a load worth of stuff, because my brother and I, we ate like an army. And David still eats like an army. That's my older brother. Each time I would look in these little boxes or these bags, and I'm thinking, gosh, I can't believe we're eating this stuff. And each time my mom would say, "Don't worry. This stuff is still good, and I can still use it." And each time she did, she would make the most remarkable dishes with things that were on the brink or in the pile that was about to go out to the trash in the grocery store. She'll take broccoli that's brown on the outside, cut off all the brown, and use the stem, because the stem was still good. She made fried rice. She's made all these amazing dishes with things that no one would ever imagine. A lot of these things that she bought were 70, 80, 90% off. And I think, if I made a show, it would be called Damaged Goods, because we're not the only family, and we won't be the only family that have financial difficulties, that have to go out there and really dig through the trash for food. Luckily now, we're not in those shoes anymore. We get to buy the freshest produce. But I can tell you, I use every piece of that broccoli that I buy. I don't just cut off the choice pieces anymore. I know how to use every single piece. And my mother, she was able to do this because she grew up. She wasn't always poor. In Vietnam, she was one of the richest families in Saigon before the Viet Congs came and took everything. But as a wealthy family, she had chefs. She had servants. A lot of them, I'm pretty sure they were probably slaves, because back then in Vietnam, it was a third world country. People sold people. A lot of people didn't know that. But my mom would grow up in this kitchen because she had an interest in the food that she liked eating. And the chefs, these are professionally trained chefs, would teach her how to cook Vietnamese food and Chinese food. Because she gained this skill at a young age, she was able to take things that were no good and make something amazing out of it. A lot of us, we think, if I say, hey, go out to the grocery store and pick some ingredients, you will go for the choice meats, the fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. And I can tell you, you take those fresh things and you hand them to someone with no skills, the food ain't going to be that good. My mother, she had skills. I grew up in the kitchen. From the age of 3, she was teaching me how to fry eggs. My brother learned how to boil my bottle of milk at 3 years old. Why? Because we were poor. We had to survive, and my mother taught us at a young age to be self-sufficient. Some of y'all watched my testimony. We posted it onto the church's website, but I'll give you a quick synopsis. I grew up, poor. I was physically abused by my mother. 12 years old, I was beaten to death. I only came back because I heard the voice of God tell me to go back to my mother. And then when I looked down as I was flying to heaven, I saw her rolled up on the couch crying. And I suddenly popped back up, and she was on the couch. And I crawled over to her and gave her. And I was Buddhist. And then at 15 years old, 3 years later, broke my ankle in basketball. I believe for the first or second time. I broke it 4 times. A short Asian guy shouldn't be competing against big tall basketball players. But so I broke it. 4 months later, the cast comes out. We're going to start rehab. Come back from the doctors. And as I'm pulling in these apartments, we lived in housing projects. Pulling in these apartments, I saw a smoke bellowing up to the sky, and I said, Mom, what's going on? Pull over. Let's pull around that corner. Let's see what's going on in our complex. And she said, no. And I said, Mom, pull around. Let's see what's going on. And finally, she agreed. Pretty sure I played it 3 or 4 times. We turned that corner, and I recall seeing smoke coming out of a broken window. There was a Hispanic guy and a black guy standing at the window, and everyone else lined up around staring. And I remember turning to my mom, and Mom said to me, I was still Buddhist. I was saved at 23. I was 15 then. And my mom says, go. You're created to save people. Just go. She goes, don't die. And I said, where are you going? She said, to take everything out of our apartment, that has worth. Just don't die, she said. So I'm running out to these 2 guys. I'm staring at the sea of faces, running into these 2 guys, a black guy and a Hispanic guy, and I said, have you gotten everyone out of this building? They went, what? And luckily for them, the year previous, I was taught some Red Cross training. So you survey the scene, you get everyone to safety, and then you save people in need. So they said no. So here I am. cast off. Doctor said, don't run. We're going to start rehabbing you. Walk gingerly. And I'm running up and down these stairs, getting everyone out, knocking, screaming, fire. Everyone got out. I ran back to them, and I said, who's inside? And they said, there's a handicapped man inside. And I said to them, well, we need to get inside. Suddenly, I don't remember what happened. The door flung open. A wall of smoke came out. It's probably, those of y'all who have been in a house fire probably know what I'm talking about. If it's contained, the smoke builds up. And when the door opens up, the smoke pulls out like a wall. So I remember my training, and I said, everyone down on the floor, somebody give me a wet towel. I'm crawling in. So I got on my hands and knees, and I'm staring into the smoke, and I heard a voice in the fire say, Jonnathan, I'm in the same room you were in. And when you're in that situation, you're not thinking, who's talking to me? And how did they know my name? I said, I know exactly what room that is, because I was 15, I walked around my house with my eyes shut to see if I could do it. So I was like, I know exactly how many paces to take. I know exactly where that room is at. I'm going to save this street. So I'm crawling into this fire. I would say halfway in, I felt someone grab my ankle, and I screamed. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm either something fell on me or someone grabbed me. There's a ghost. And suddenly I'm getting dragged out of the apartment. Towards the door, I turn back, and I'm walking towards the door I'm getting pulled towards the door that I just crawled into. And I turn around, and it was that black guy, the original black guy that was at the window. He said, Jonnathan, what are you doing? I remember at that point was the first time I realized, how did these two people know my name? And I went, what? I said, if you don't mind, I'm saving somebody, I'll be right back. And he said, you're willing to lay your life down for a complete stranger? And I went, yeah, I'll be right back. And then he said, you understand if you go in there today, you will die. And suddenly, I snapped out of it. I could hear the fire, I could smell the smoke, I could hear the screaming, the sirens. When I heard die, reality struck. And he looked at me and he says, let me go in your place. Let me go in your place. And I curled up into a little ball, and I said, okay. He turns around, instead of crawling through the smoke, he walks through the smoke and disappears. And I'm sitting there by the front door wondering, what's going on? Where is this guy? Suddenly he comes out, a few coughs, I hear him coming, and he goes, almost got him. And he had tears in his eyes, and shaking his head. And suddenly I came to again. Man, I'm 15 years old, I'm vulnerable, I have to be the hero. And I said, what do you mean you almost got him? He said, I got to him, John. I stuck my hand out in that fire. He wouldn't reach back. If he reached back, I would have plucked him out of this fire. He says, they never reached back and grabbed my hand. And I remember at that point I was thinking, how many fires have you been in, brother? Like, this man says they never reached back. He walked into the smoke, came out unscathed, and he says they never reached back. And he says, if they only reach back and grab my hand, I can pull them out of the fire every time. And he says, why don't you stay here? You're a hero. And I went, what are you talking about? And I started to tear up, and I said, the man's still in the fire. And then firemen showed up. They all rushed through, pushed us aside. Later on, I find out that man was dead for over 30 minutes. I was there for 15. Someone tried to pull me into the fire. And then, the news stations came. And the Hispanic guy runs up and said, hey, the news people want to talk to you. They said, everyone's saying you're the hero. You kicked their door down. You ran into the fire and almost got the guy. And I said, what are you talking about? The door was kicked open somehow. I crawled into the fire, and a black guy ran into the fire. He said, what black guy? I said, the black guy that was standing next to you? And he said, son, there is no black guy. And that, I remember, that's kind of when it hit me that I was saved by somebody. And someone that was pretty much supernatural. And I was Buddhist, so I had no idea. No idea who this person could have been. Then my mother runs up and she runs up to me and she said, Jonnathan, are you okay? And
I said, did you see a black guy? She said, what are you talking about? You were just standing there staring. And to my recollection, there was a black guy right next to me when my mom ran up. Don't really understand. At that time, I had no idea what was going on. And then she looks at me up and down and says, you went into the fire, you idiot. And she said, oh my gosh, are you okay? And then I remember glancing at her and I said, and then I surveyed myself. Like you pause and you think to yourself, am I okay? Then I felt the pain shoot up my leg and I grabbed her and I said, I think I broke my ankle again. And she said, how? I said, apparently I kicked the door down. I don't remember. And she grabbed me, walked me back, and never got interviewed. And I didn't want to get interviewed. I remember that night, lying in bed, I thought to myself, who saved me? And why am I worth saving? You see, because I grew up abused by my mom physically. I grew up beaten down verbally by my father, told that I would never exceed him in his accomplishments, which was very scary because he didn't accomplish much. So in my eyes, no matter how well I did in school, how many friends I had, and I had a lot of friends, I was worthless. Because as a child, your worth is found in your home, not at school. And I remember lying there just saying, I'm sorry to that person who died in the fire, that I allowed this complete stranger to go in there and save him when I could have done it, I thought. Couldn't sleep for days. Fast forward to when I was saved, I remember asking God, okay, you obviously exist. Who saved me? And he said, I did. And I remember thinking back, why? Why is my life worth more than that guy's life? And God said, it wasn't like that. I saved you. And I said, so you're black? He says, I'm whatever I want to be. Because to me, I was just saved. I had no idea. The Jesus movies that I saw during Christmas when I was a Buddhist, he was a white dude. And then other times he was this olive-skinned guy. Sometimes he had a beard, sometimes he didn't. So to me, he was as real as Santa Claus. He was man-made. I was told that growing up as a Buddhist. He was man-made. The only person in Israel was Buddha and the Buddhas. And so God and I started having these deep conversations of identity and worth. It's interesting when you look through the Bible, you see a lot of us, we look at the characters in the Bible. These are real people. And we think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be a Paul. I'm never going to be a Peter. I'm never going to be Joshua, Moses. I'm never going to be these people. These people were amazing. I'm telling you, they weren't. Because God uses ingredients that make them. Adam and Eve were deceived by the devil. They broke the only law. God gave them one thing, don't do this. They did it. But Jesus was we all are a descendant from those first two. Jesus shared the blood. Same bloodline as them. How can that be? And then there's Jacob who cheated Esau out of his inheritance. There's Peter who denied Jesus 3 times in one day. One day. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can say I would do anything different than Peter in that circumstances. But 3 times is quite a bit. When Jesus was looking right at him, I saw the movie, so I imagine it was somewhat realistic. And then there's Noah who fell drunk and lay naked. There's Jonah who ran from God's calling. There's Paul, who not only was a murderer, he was a murderer of Christians. He was named Saul. There's Abraham, who was way past his natural ability to produce children. God used him.
There's Gideon, who was extremely insecure. He said he was the weakest and the least. There is King David, mighty King David, who was a murderer. There was Joseph, who was a slave. Mary, at that time, we didn't have say. Was double whammy. Jesus appeared to her first after the resurrection. You see, what God says about us is we are his masterpiece. It says in Ephesians 2:10. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do good things he has planned for us for a long time. I know that those who are online and those who are here, there are days when we look at our everyday sin and think, I am way too messy to be used by Christ. I'm telling you that when I got saved, I read the scripture, you would do all things I have done and greater. And my heart leapt. And I'm telling you, you would do all things Christ has done and greater. Your identity isn't a Peter or Paul, Jacob, Adam or Eve, or these people that we read about. Your identity is Christ. In us, and we're in him. God woke me up randomly. My coworker, Laura's here. God woke me up randomly because I was waking up at 6 a.m. A few days ago. 3:45, my heart wakes up. No, I went to bed at 9. At 3. 11 o'clock, my internal alarm clock turned on. 11 o'clock exactly. And then God started downloading these things. And I was thinking, oh my God, it's 11. You have 24 hours in a day to download things. And I slept 3 hours the night before. And according to my clock, I only slept 2 out of the 5 or 6 hours I was supposed to sleep. What are you doing? And I couldn't sleep. And God said, I'm the gateway. And I went, yes, I know. I'm the door. I know. He said, to my father, I said, I know. He goes, to heaven. I said, I know. And I'm lying there going, I know you're Jesus. I am extremely tired. I slept 2 hours the night before, and you're telling me things I know. And I said, I'm very sorry. I'm just try to sleep. And God said, all our keys. We are the key at work to open heaven, to allow heaven to evade our work. We are the key in the supermarket to say, Jesus Christ, pour out. Holy Spirit, pour out. Heaven, pour out upon us. We're the key. We carry Christ in us. The door is in us, and the door is on us. We're the gateway to Jesus for a lot of these people. We represent Christ. We're the ambassadors. How can we be an ambassador and not walk with his authority? That's impossible. The whole premise of an ambassador is you walk with the authority of the kingdom you represent. The ambassador of the U.S. represents the U.S. We're not just the ambassador of Jesus. We're the ambassador of heaven. Heaven. The challenge is, let's go out and do it. My wife is pretty shy. And the other day she said, I was checking out at the supermarket, and God told me to compliment this woman. She said, I saw you do it a few times with people, and it changed their thing. She complimented this woman, I think called in and put in a good word. I work in a customer care outsourcing company. Big companies hire us to be the customer care centers, like Fortune 100. And I told Olivia, I said, you don't know what you did. You might have gotten that woman a bonus. You might have gotten that woman a day off. You might have gotten that woman into our drawing to win something. That's how the customer care works. When we get good service, why don't we acknowledge the good service?
when we get bad service, why don't we tell them how good they can be? Why don't we unlock their potential? I think one of the biggest things I think a Christian can do, a believer can do, if we're the key to heaven, is to unlock heaven in that person. Have you ever had bad service at a restaurant? I have. There was a group of us from the first church I ever joined, 20, 25 of us sitting in a Chili's. And there was a recent trainee. Those 20, 25 people had no idea he was a trainee. I showed up early. He introduced himself as, this is my first day, and my people gave him the hardest time. And at the end of the night, he looked like he was sweating bullets. He was about to cry. And I said, hey, can I talk to your manager? And he said, yeah, I knew you were going to talk to my manager. The manager comes out. I shook his hand. I said, I don't know who trained this fellow. I said, but he's the most amazing waiter we've ever had. And my team sat there and stared at me and said, I cannot believe you said that. And I looked at them all. I said, right? And they all went, yeah. And I said, and it's going to show in the tips we're going to give them, right? And everyone goes, yes. And I said, bravo, great job training this young man. And I said, oh, I heard this is how I'm going to great. And the man walks up to the last side and says, can I do something for you? And I said, no. Just keep shining, man. Now, in this instance, I remember thinking the same thing. Gosh, this service is terrible. And I remember turning around and seeing his face, and God said, telling me, going, can you see him through my eyes? He's trying. I see his heart. And I remember seeing his heart, thinking the same thing, going, okay, I see it. I see his heart. He's putting his best effort out. God went on to explain that he was a believer. You know, one thing about being a Christian, of being like Christ is, we're all prophetic. A lot of us are afraid to embrace that side because it seems mystical and magical, but it's not. We're prophetic. And God started talking to me about this guy. Mother is sick. He dropped out of school. All these things, I'm staring at him going, I know how that is. Had I known. We're the key that unlocks Christ and heaven in lives. Like today, I want to offer my wife and I, and we can probably get Robert and Jessica up here later if people want prayer. We want to offer to pray for you. Are all broken, bruised, spotted, wilted, worn down, tired? Well, God promises to refresh you. You have to stay refreshed. Doesn't mean if you're not refreshed, doesn't mean he's not going to use you. But it's a heck of a lot easier to be used when you're refreshed. And it's our job to refresh one another. It's our job to refresh ourselves. King David encouraged himself. I'm the worst at encouraging myself. I talk down to myself. Today I was sitting there telling Olivia, going, of all the times I spoke, this is the most unprepared I've ever been in my life. I fast and I pray for this stuff. I've had 3 meals already. I've been working 10 to 13-hour days, 7 days a week for the last 10, 11 days. I haven't had a chance to pick up the Bible. I haven't quite figured out what to talk about. And my wife looks at me and says, God has never failed you. And I said, I know, but I feel like I need to do my part, which is true. Some instances, God says, do this, do it, and he's going to do this. Other instances, he says, step out, and I'm with you. In Psalms 34, 18 through 20, it says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from all. He protects all his bones. Not one of them will be broken. And if you're online tonight and you don't know Jesus Christ as your Savior, as Jesus said to me when he came out of the fire, he is reaching down from heaven for you. He is saying, grab my hand and I will save you from the fires of this life. Grab my hands and I will show you your identity. A lot of us, we look at each other, we look at our odd actions, the way we dress, how we speak, and we see that identity. Those are just quirks. I tell you, when the Holy Spirit falls upon any one of us and we look out into the audience, we see hearts. As long as the part of your heart yearning God, Christ, he says, he promises to be with you. He would never leave you or forsake you. I felt pretty forsaken at work. I 10 to 13-hour days, 10 or 11 days straight, including weekends. I was lying there going, I have no idea what Saturday is going to look like. Because I haven't slept. I'm nauseous. I feel like throwing up. And he still showed up. You know, God's looking out at you all right now and saying, y'all are still good. No matter what you did 10 minutes ago, no matter what you thought about me today, God says, you're still good. I will still use you. It's our job as vessels to say, fill me and use me. If you imagine us as a vessel, like a vase, whatever God pours in, he can't pour us out. It's our job to pour him out. So he can continue to fill us with more revelation. We don't lose what we pour out. Wherever we pour out becomes a part of us. God is seeking people to say, I am in Christ, and he is in me, and all I do will glorify him. And when I screw up, my Father is gracious and loving and will forgive me. If I stumble and fall, I'm still loved. I think we need to give ourselves that ability to screw up. Don't do it intentionally, but there are days when you screw up. Today, doubting myself, it sounded a lot like doubting myself, but I was doubting that God would show up. I was worried that he wasn't going to speak. I was actually thinking, gosh, I hope my friends don't show up because this is going to be the first time I'm going to vomit tonight. I promise you I'm almost done. When I was in Africa, I remember the first sermon I taught, they walked up to me and they said, you will teach 6 hours. I went, a day or right now? He said, right now, 6 hours. And I said, so what's that in Swahili? What does that mean in English? He goes, 6 hours. 60 minutes times 6. And I went, whoa. I know we're in Kenya. This is great. That's impossible because I will use up all my sermons in my first time. I'm here for 23 days. And he goes, 6 hours in the morning, 6 hours in the afternoon, 6 hours at night. And I went, that's 18 hours. When am I going to sleep? And I said, how does 2 hours in the morning sound and 2 hours at night sound? But just skip that thing. And he goes, people are coming to see you. And I said, luckily for him, God is everywhere. Everyone who comes, they'll see him. We'll hang out, we'll have fellowship, we'll eat. We'll do 4 hours a day. That's it. We're Americans, I'm sorry. I said, I know we should be hardcore. I know you think we're weak. But, like, for instance, like right now, I feel like it's time just to end. It's time to say, God loves you. He is proud of you. Each time you overcame, he cheered you on. Each time you fell, he was right next to you to lift you up. You are not a failure. You are not trash. You are not battered and bruised. You are not garbage. You are usable. And he's not looking at what you've done. He's looking at where you want to go in your heart. He loves you. If y'all need prayer tonight, feel free to come up. Well, in Jesus' name, I just thank you for this night. Lord, I ask that the hearts that are broken, may they be healed. The souls that are lost, may they find you. We thank you, Lord, if anyone cries out tonight for an encounter with you, that they'll be able to hold the Father's hand. We thank you, Lord, for revealing the identity into the hearts of everyone listening today.